Welcome to my studio. I am very happy to show you my research with a not quite traditional ceramic. First of all, I'm going to give you a short visit to my studio. We start the short tour. We can see paper clay objects, paper clay goblets. I take inspiration from the Faenza tradition. Here, a fiber optic installation. And an installation with the sintered alumina, an advanced ceramic material very thin and translucent. Now the tour continues with another shadow installation, a virtual museum. In the other room, we have butterflies wall installation made of paper clay and plexiglass. And another virtual museum. My goal for several years has been to start from a material like ceramic that is generally heavy, to make it lighter, not only in terms of weight, but also visually. To do this, I started from paper clay, which is used all over the world, but I studied my personal composition made of porcelain and a little bit of paper. And I created objects with many holes and perforations. For these objects, I was inspired by crespine, objects in use at the great European courts of the 16th and 17th centuries. In this new research, I do not pierce by removing, but I build a fine texture that becomes structure. To make the visual effect even lighter, I started using light. In this case, I used fiber optics, and the fibers wrap around the objects and help me to give the idea of lightness. Using light, I saw that the shadow was created. The shadow is something intangible and mysterious, and it fascinates me a lot. So I created butterfly installation. In this installation, one wing of the butterfly is real, made in paper clay, porcelain and plexiglass to have the color. The other wing is just virtual. In this way, I improve the idea of lightness even more. In this flight of butterflies, the ceramics is essential, but the form of the butterflies is completed by its own shadow. The white butterflies are made with my porcelain formula mixed with paper. I make a very thick paste and extrude it with a syringe. Then I insert a plexiglass part to give color. I also studied how to attach it to the wall with a simple nail. Then I continued to create the shadow installation, but in this case I started to use a new material. I tried this new material, which is sintered alumina. This material is very thin and translucency, and also the laser cut makes it very rich in detail. Alumina is a raw material contained in porcelain. This is an advanced ceramic material, but it is still ceramic. Alumina is fired at a very high temperature, 1600 degrees centigrade, and it is sintered. For these reasons, this material has high-tech performance, such as high resistance, biocompatibility, thermal stability, electrical conduction, and so on. Therefore, this material is produced for high-tech uses and not for artistic concept as I use. For me, on the other hand, the extreme thinness is very fascinating. It is half a millimeter to 1 millimeter maximum, so it's very, very thin. It is difficult to get by a traditional process a thin slab with no deformation after firing. This is why I like to use this ceramic material. I would like to say it again because it is an advanced ceramic material, but you can still call it ceramic. To study this material at the beginning, I found information at the CNR, which is fortunately located in Faenza. They gave me technical support for the first research. Then they directed me to a factory that is located close to Faenza. The factory is called Aurel. They normally cut sintered alumina, but very simple shapes like square or rectangles with some holes in them. Usually these pieces are used for computers or other high-tech uses, so they have been very willing to get involved in this project. They even had to modify the machine to cut my shapes. My shapes are so complicated with the very fine points and lines. They were amazing because they did all this research for me and sponsored me. In this installation there is an important piece, such as the porcelain vase. That is world famous and represents for me the icon of perfection. And then we have three pieces that were made in Faenza in the 16th and 17th century. Now, however, these pieces are no longer in Faenza, but they are in the major museum around the world. For example, this cup is in the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, and this picture at the Metropolitan Museum in New York. This is a salt shaker, and it is at the British Museum. I went to this museum, I took the picture, dimensions and all the information, so I could create the silhouettes which are deformed and stretched, so that the shadows are in real size. This is a kind of virtual museum because these pieces are again together in Faenza. Here we have another installation. Of course, I had to find an easy way to install it, such as delicate silhouettes are mounted on a plexiglass form. The color is not ceramic, but a film over the plexiglass. We have seen different virtual museum installations, but this is a still life installation with the simple objects of everyday life, such as a teapot or a cup or a tea or coffee pot or another cup. It's a kind of stereotype of ceramic objects. I would like to show you some tests done with paper clay. They were laser cut when they were raw, but after firing you can see that they are very fragile and not completely flat, compared with the sintered alumina ones. As you can see from the picture, this is a machine. They have here in Faenza at the CNR. Alumina powder is mixed with glue, and this sticky substance is dripped on a belt and a long strip is created. When it is dry, it is elastic and you can also roll it up. Then it's cut into pieces and fired in the kiln. The special thing is that the firing can take a week. This is because the firing has to be very slow, up to 300-400 degrees, when all the glue is burned. If you burn the glue quickly, the alumina would lose its shape and return to dust. Thanks to MoCA New York for visiting my studio and sharing my work with you, and how I use this ceramic material in my studio practice.